Today I was reminded why I love living in Australia, not that I forgot. I'm going to do an impromptu video about medical costs in Australia compared to the US because I know people in Australia always hear that we have terrible healthcare system, but I'm going to give you some specific comparison examples and also for the people in the US so they understand just the difference. Because when I lived in the US, I was constantly stressed. I had arthritis, I was in pain, and it felt like a luxury to go to physical therapy twice a week to solve this pain. And here, health isn't treated like a luxury. Here, health is treated like a basic human right, which is cool. Anyway, so yeah. Also, I'm sick because I got a cold like 4 weeks ago and I started drinking alcohol like a little too soon after I recovered, and that turned into bacterial tonsillitis. So if that's just a reminder that I'm not young anymore, that was one. Oh, and the other thing I want to say, when I talk about costs, a lot of people will say, if I say a USD cost in Australia, they'll say, oh, so that's this much Australian dollars. Usually when I talk about what things cost, I like to just keep it at like an even field, because if you think about what you're paying in rent in each place and also like what you're making with salary in each place, it all kind of ends up being the same. So like when I talk about rent, I'm talking about it in the same comparison in AUD as I would in USD, if I'm making any sense here. So when I say I pay $1,000 in rent in Australia, I'm not translating that to like $660 US, because you make the amount of money to make up for that difference. So when you are living here, it's all kind of the same difference. So when I say prices, think about it as if you're in your country and this is how much you would be paying, like with no translation. Okay, I posted about this on my personal Instagram, but I went to the doctor today because I've been sick for 4 weeks and walked in, saw a doctor. They told me what was wrong with me, gave me a prescription for antibiotics. The cost of the appointment without insurance, because I'm on travel insurance, so I have to pay everything out of pocket. The price is set by the office. And then sometimes I can get a claim, file a claim to get the money back. So that cost for that appointment, no insurance, was $105. And then I went to the pharmacy and got my medicine. I got antibiotics for a week, $13. When I walked up there, I was like, I know that their prices of medicine are better. Maybe it'll be like $40. My antibiotics, no insurance, were almost the same prices as matcha. One time, I got eczema on my face and I needed a certain pill to get rid of it. And I went to the pharmacy and they were like, sorry, this isn't included. Like your insurance doesn't cover this. And the out-of-pocket cost is $500. So what did I do? I just used an over-the-counter cream and my eczema has never gone away. Maybe I should go and get that pill here. I don't know. The story of why medicine is so expensive in the US is a whole other thing, and you can look that up if you don't know. But anyway, another time in Sydney when I had to go to the doctor, I don't go very often unless I like need to. Yeah, it was $90 to have a checkup. And then one time I went to the dentist, and for new appointment, x-rays, cleaning, it was $180. So yeah, it's not like cheap, but it's like I make enough money here to not be freaking out feeling like it's costing me an arm and a leg to pay for something that I need to keep up my health. I am going to look into insurance here now that I am staying longer than just traveling around for a year. But that's a whole other story. And usually when people here are residents or citizens, they are on some sort of Medicare or Medicaid, and a checkup is free, essentially. And one time I went with my friend to the ER and she had to get stitches, and she walked out like they didn't even, I mean, they take your medical insurance information, but yeah, she just walked out, didn't have to pay anything. One time, and all these medical stories I'm about to tell you in the US are when I was on insurance. So one time I went to get a COVID test and They told me that they thought I had a blood clot and that I had to go to the ER. And then I went to the ER and they ran so many tests, so many blood tests. Like I had to get like a CAT scan and also this like, I don't know what the machine is called when they test your heart. Obviously, I'm gonna get all those tests to make sure I'm not gonna die. Turns out I was fine, but that medical bill was $800 after insurance, and I had to go through some like financial aid system to get that cut in half, and then I ended up having to pay $400 for that. So I don't know how much it costs to go to the ER here if you aren't on insurance, so I can't compare that, but that is a huge difference. I'm gonna talk about my physical therapy that I had to get for my arthritis. I had to get so many x-rays, MRIs when I had a lot of back pain and dealing with my arthritis. And I had to go to physical therapy twice a week for a year to essentially not be in pain. At this time, my first job in New York, I made $50K over like a span of 4 years that rose and rose. And then by the time I left, I was making $80K a year. So you would think on $80K a year, I could afford all of this stuff. And in my second job, because after you're 26, you can't be on your parents' insurance. So in my second job, I had insurance that my work gave us for free, which is a really good perk. But I remember every time I went to see a doctor about any consultation, so if you have to do an x-ray or an MRI, you not only pay for, sometimes the MRI after insurance is like $300. X-rays usually can be included, I think. And then just to talk to the doctor about the results, I had to pay a $50 copay. So basically, I would have to look at what the actual appointment cost in a New York doctor's office, but the insurance covered so much of that, and then I was left paying $50. That's a lot of money when you're going to the doctor like a few times a month and also getting tests, and you live in New York City. Mind you, when you actually pay for your own health insurance that's your work doesn't give you, you're paying minimum like $350 a month. So imagine paying that and then still paying $50 every single time you go to the doctor. So I remember being so stressed about just that. And also I can't remember if I paid all of this just as it went or on my credit card or what. I think I put my physical therapy appointments on my credit card. I remember being so stressed that it actually made my pain worse. And I had to look into a lot of like Eastern medicine books and documentaries and other methods. I tried like acupuncture, I tried meditation, because after paying for all that for years, my pain just kind of moved and it didn't really get better. And so I just remember having this realization that I'm just like funneling all this money into these doctor's offices and health systems. And I was going in a cycle where they just were like, okay, well, like now you can get a shot. And every time you get something like a cortisol shot or an x-ray or anything, you have to make sure that the way that your doctor puts in a request for that proves that your insurance should cover it. So I remember one time I went to get a bone density test and I was charged $1,200 for that. And it was a fight. My mom actually helped me, luckily. But yeah, it was like a back and forth fight to be like, well, the doctor told me that I had these issues, so I should get a bone density test. So actually this should be covered by insurance. And I mean, it's like the going to the doctor. I think that's why a lot of people don't go to the doctor. One, the cost, but two, it's just like the hassle is crazy. I mean, this morning, I just saw there was a medical clinic like down the road and I called and they were like, yeah, you can come in at 10. That's great. Like paid, so simple. I told this on my Instagram as well, but one time I had to get shots and this was in college and they should have been covered by insurance. But when I was checking out, the front desk said that I had to verify this with my insurance myself and that I had to put in a request to get that money back. And yeah, so I had to put $300 on my credit card as a college student because I could not afford that. And I was put on the spot. I didn't know, you never really know what's going to happen at the doctor. Like, I think I learned as an adult to always check the cost of something before you go because it feels like there's hidden costs or terms and every insurance is so different. And yeah, I think that the way the medical system is here, not only the cost, but the way it operates, I just feel a sense of relief around caring for my health. And like I said, I'm going to be looking into different health insurances I can get here because travel insurance doesn't really cover much. But I recently was like, oh, I'm due for like a teeth clean. Worst thing that happens is I'll have to pay $200 for that. Yeah, that's not ideal. I should get insurance to cover that. But that's like not the end of the world, because if I paid out of pocket, no insurance for x-ray and teeth cleaning at a clinic in New York, I mean, it would be $350 to $400 some places. So yeah, that is what I have to say about that. Kind of a hodgepodge video. Hope you enjoyed following along.